Rick Schultz, and wanted to bring a really cool product today that I know that you're all going to be very excited about. Now, what this stuff is called is NPS-1260, and it's a 3D enhancer. What exactly does that mean? Stereophonic imaging has the ability to have a very three-dimensional sound, and that's one of the original draws to stereo, is you can get this wide sense of imaging and sounds coming from places that are far outside the speaker. In fact, high-end audio systems are capable almost of making it sound like there's things happening around you or behind you. Now, there's different types of recording processes that can be used and have been used over the years, and one of those was Q-Sound. Q-Sound was used in the recording of Roger Waters' Amused to Death and Madonna Immaculate Collection, amongst a number of others. You can look them up. Now, of course, when we're doing our sound test, we are not using Q-Sound recordings. We're just using regular recordings because Q-Sound is a bit of a trick. Now, it's still fun and I'd still recommend it, but that's not what we're looking for. It's not on the recording end that we're doing this, it's on the playback end. And the stereo system naturally does do a similar type thing. Now, if you use one of those recordings after using the NPS-1260, it's going to be a really wild experience for you. Now, NPS-1260 has a technology that's different than contact enhancers. However, it works extremely well as a contact enhancer too, and it shouldn't be mixed with anything else. So if you've got something on the system already, I recommend that you remove that, clean it completely with alcohol, watch our cleaning video, maybe that'll help, and then go ahead and apply NPS-1260 3D enhancer. I'm not going to get into a bunch of technical about how this works today. When you try it, it's going to be obvious that it does work, and that's the thing that's most important. It's about being able to transfer the signal with a much lower level of distortion and without the typical time and phase distortions that are taking place within inside the connector itself. This has the ability to be able to enhance even if we didn't have a mechanical connection, just because of the very nature of what it's doing. However, because it's a mechanical connection, it's one of the weakest spots, if not the weakest spot in the audio system, that actually creates distortion. So you'll get this type of harshness and hardness and fatigue, especially as you start to turn an audio system up. And the primary reason for that is actually in these connectors, whether it be the end of an RCA. Basically, in order to be able to make an RCA work, what's happening is you've got a tube that slips over the little pin on your RCA. And in order for that to work, the tube has to be larger than the pin, which leaves a pretty large gap, especially for the electron. Now, electrons aren't really flowing through the way that we've been taught, and that will come in future videos. And it's because of our understanding of how energy moves that we're able to make a product like this, because it comes from a very different concept and understanding of how energy transfers. And it's more about the magnetism and electromagnetism than it is about conventional thoughts of electrons, spiraling down a cable towards a destination. It does operate differently than that. So in the end, what NPS-1260 actually is partly it is a product that helps to prove that we have a good thesis or understanding behind how energy actually works. And if it wasn't so different, it wouldn't have so different of results. So the application, the products, the things that we use to use it, the NPS does stand for nanoparticle solutions. And yes, there are nanoparticle solutions in here, as well as other materials that we use to be able to get this effect. It is, again, nothing like a contact enhancer as far as the sonic comparison. If you buy a contact enhancer, you're doing a really wise thing. It will really improve your sound a lot. And I highly recommend them. Now, NPS-1260 is much more expensive than contact enhancers, but it does a much different job too. When you apply NPS-1260, the amount of clarity, musicality, dynamics, and imaging, 3D sound staging is really tremendous. Now, it's so powerful that I wouldn't recommend that you try to do your whole system at first. When you remove distortion, the system can kind of get black or dark at first. It'll take the primary audio signal, it'll transfer that through, but there's a lot of time and phase issues that happen while distortion is first being removed. That's called break-in. A lot of people don't agree with it, don't think that there's a lot of change, and that's okay. You don't have to, because the moment you put this on, you're going to hear tremendous change, and it'll be for the better, but keep it limited to maybe one set of RCAs at first, maybe even one set of an RCA. It is extremely powerful, so it's going to make a lot of change, and if you do more than, let's say, the both ends of a particular cable at any one given time, you're going to go into a really dramatic break-in stage. The benefit is if you did that, your total end sound will come sooner, and it will come. It's unavoidable. But when you do just one cable, the fruit of that is that you get to hear tremendous change, but you get to hear a lot of it immediately, all the benefits that you're looking for, like, you know, more extended, but yet softer, cleaner highs that sound more like a real instrument and less like harshness and hardness and the ringing of metal. So when you use this NPS-1260, what is the best way to apply it? Well, there's really only one way to apply it. Make sure you start with a clean connector. Now, because it's a nanoparticle solution, going through a rigorous cleaning isn't really important. This will fill in the gaps, and it really won't make a lot of difference if you rigorously clean it. Spray it, wipe it well with alcohol. If it's never had a contact cleaner on it before, you may not even have to do anything at all. Just pull it off, and then I'm going to pull out a little bit of NPS-1260 here. It's kind of a dark black paste. It's thick, like a thicker oil, or not anywhere near to a grease, but maybe like an olive oil or something like that. And I'm going to paint it on the tip of the RCA and only on the male end. Okay, you'll only want to do male ends on any of the connectors. And I'm going to do about 1/8 to 1/3 of the connector. Now, in this case, you're just eyeballing it. Do you have to make sure that you're absolutely right on? No. What you want to make sure of is that you don't have a bunch building up on the end of the connector, making like a droplet or a blob on the end, because when you go to try to insert it, it could wipe off on the female part, and that could cause some resistance, which could change things like your sound staging and your imaging and shift things to one side. If you notice that when you've done something like this, you know you've got a problem. So you want to start off with a very centered image, the vocal singing right from the middle of your loudspeakers. It's incredibly important. Not all vocals are recorded that way, so find something that you know is. And then use that as your reference, do your cables, plug them in. Be very careful when you plug them in that you don't want to get rid of any of this. You don't want to wipe it off on the side of the female RCA. And so it's best if you have the ability to actually see how you're plugging it in. If you can even turn the gear around or something so that you can actually see with your eyes that you're putting the pin right into the center of the hole, that's going to work best and give you the least chances of creating a problem like resistance. Now, so that's it for an RCA interconnect. I want to just quickly show you a power cord as well. Now, this particular cable that I showed you was actually a SPDIF cable, and these work incredibly well for digital too. Basically, any mechanical connection, it's going to help increase the overall clarity, dynamics, resolution, and do the job that it's supposed to do on any of them. So the power cord has both a female and a male end. This one plugs into a male end that's kind of inset in your IEC on your connecting component, like your CD player, for example, or your power amps. And it's easier to get at that other end than it is to try to put some in that hole. It's not going to work for you. So just do the male ends always. So if we were to take this and I put on a little bit of NPS-1260 on the power cord, I'm going to put a very thin layer on about the first 1/3. So in most cases, it's just past that little hole that you might be able to see on the blades, okay? So do just a little bit past that, a nice thin layer, and then you're done. Plug it in and you're good to go. It will kind of apply itself to the proper locations when you do it that way. As you plug it in, the blades on the other side will help to distribute it to where it needs to be. NPS-1260 is probably the single most powerful audio product that I've ever come across. And yeah, we did build it, and I'm very thankful that we did. I am an audiophile. I've been an audiophile, passionate one for many, many years. It's the heart of why I'm in this industry. I've just always sought better and better sound. And I'm realizing that there's no window where you can actually stop this. The better an audio system gets, the better tool it becomes on being able to reveal changes. So if you've got a really great audio system and you think that it can't get better, I challenge you. All you've got is an audio system that can be made way better. And the reason for that is it's become such a clear tool within to hear the change that we're going to make. So no matter if you've got an entry-level audio system and you'd like to bring it up to another level, this is incredibly powerful at doing so. or you want to take a very high-end audio system and bring resolution to a place you never dreamed possible, NPS-1260 is that product. In fact, I'll go so far as to say, if you purchase no other product this year, purchase NPS-1260. It is absolutely stellar. This is the most exciting audio product that I've ever come across so far. It's a game changer. I'm willing to say that myself. I know that there's going to be a lot of repeats of that. This is a game changer. This is something very different. It works actually in a magnetic realm versus an electron realm. So contact enhancer basically is some additional electrons that get in there, nanoparticles with electrons in them that are kind of filling gaps. This works completely differently. It works magnetic. Now, it's not magnetic when you take it out of the bottle. It won't be attracted to magnets, nothing like that, but it works in a magnetic realm. Electromagnetism is what I'm talking about. And I'm not going to get into that anymore because there's no way that you're going to follow it. It would take too long for the video. And what you're really after anyways is the ear candy. NPS-1260 is exactly that. I'm Rick Schultz. I can't wait for you to try some and let us know how it worked out.